Hey guys, if anyone's joined, I'm actually going to do a pattern today that a lot of people like to ask about, and that's the Breath of the Compassionate. I'm not going to be checking the screen because I want to try and get the whole pattern done. So I'll look at the questions at the end, but if you want to join me, grab a compass, or I will try my best to save this later. So just a repeat, this is going to be the Breath of the Compassionate, which is a really, should I put that on here? I don't know if you guys can see my screen all right, so I'll put it in the corner here. Breath of, oh you can't see, hang on. So in Breath of the Compassionate, I'm just needing to do a bit of practice, so let's see how we get on. A lot of the people have asked me about sort of what it is about the geometry that's kind of spoken to me so much, and it's really a lot of the symbolism and the sort of spiritual side of it that speaks. So I'm going to try and start with one of the most famous patterns, and I'll do as much as I'll explain as much as I can as I go along. Okay, so we start off with a circle. The circle is always the beginning, and it's too big, isn't it? No, it'll do. Can you see that? Okay, so the circle represents the heaven. It's the perfect form. It's eternal. There's no beginning, there's no end. So it represents the eternal. It represents he who has no beginning and no end. I just realised I need another pen. 1 second. We then draw the horizon. Now I kind of I started off with a horizon just because I'm wrong. I started off with a horizon because I know where to place my compass then, but I'm just gonna... Okay, that pen's useless. Sorry guys, didn't check my pen. Okay, this one. That's useless. Third time lucky maybe. Okay, all of these are pointless. Okay, I'm going to use a biro. I just need to draw a straight line, that's all. And I don't want to take things out of my compass yet. So, we draw the horizon, and that invokes where we exist on the horizontal plane on the earth. So, we then increase the radius of our compass to be the diameter of our original circle. Again, I'm not going to respond to any messages just because I can't see the camera, and I'll check it afterwards. It just takes a while. So we then draw our vesicabiscus. And what this does is it allows us to bring in horizontal. Now, I'm going through this quickly so you can go through this in your own time as slowly as you want. But I'm doing this so that I can try and complete as much of the pattern as I can, and I'm slightly off there, but hey, it's fine. We then return to our original radius. The vertical line is the conduit between the earthly plane and the heavenly plane. And then what we're going to do is, because I want to get the Breath of the Compassionate, I want to try and get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars and then the 4 crosses. So I'm going to do a 9 by 9. So we start at the top. Now we've got our northernmost point. I'm just slightly off, but I'm just going to carry on anyway. And again, go to the top. Hang on, 1, 2. I'm not going to have enough time. 1, 2, 3. No, 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 I'm right. Sorry. Forgive me. Then I'm going to go to the south. I'm going to add 2 circles below. Probably going at this a little bit too quickly. And then I'm going to go to the east. And then I'm going to go to the west. I'm hoping everyone can still see this because I can't see my camera. Okay, once you've got to this point, you need to add the circle that's going to be housed here, 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 and here. And it's very easy to take the wrong intersection. So you've got to try and ignore the Vescopiscus that you drew, and you've got to look at this circle. So this was your original one, and this was the in-between one that helped you determine that one. So where this one meets this one, at that point, not this one, at this point, you're going to create 1. And where the new shape has just interacted, you create your second one. And then you go above, so it's where this circle has met with this one. And then here. And what you do is you repeat this in each quadrant. Anyway, I hope everyone's well. It's been chucking it down with the snow here lately. Nephews have been excited. Though it hasn't really settled. It's not really snow. I mean, it's settled on the... but it hasn't kind of gotten deep here. I've seen photos of like a couple of inches in other places, so I'm somewhat jealous. As what's the point of snow if you can't make a snowman or a snow monster? Right. So I've done this, again, using a pen. This is just so that you guys can see what I'm doing. What I would recommend when you guys do it is to ensure that you do it with a hard pencil and try and keep as light with your lines as possible. And by that I mean when you touch the compass to the paper, I mean it should literally just be kissing the paper. It should be really soft, almost like you're caressing it. You know, if you press too hard and you're aggressive with it, you're going to leave streaks on the paper and you're going to mess up as well. And it's just not nice. You want nice, soft, clean lines in the background. And then when you draw your final pattern, you've got your construction lines behind, but the actual main pattern sings out. Otherwise it gets lost in the haze of all of the heavy lines, like this will, because I'm using a dark colour. Okay, so it's a little bit difficult to see, but what I've actually got are 3 whole circles in height. Like this one is an in-between one, right? The whole one here is connected to the whole one here, which is connected to the whole one there, right? So these ones, I kind of almost want to ignore the 2 in-between ones. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and in each one I'm going to place a star. So this is when it starts to get a little bit complicated. We just kind of need to go a little bit further, and that is because we need to determine extra points on these guys. What shall I do? Shall I stick to the middle? What I might do... 1, 2... So this one... Sorry, I'm just trying to think how I can do this. Okay, right. We just need to close the pattern off now. What's the best way to do it? So you go around the edge now, because you need to get the north, south, east, west on each of the circles. So this is basically you start either on the horizontal or the vertical, and you take your points and you just do a semicircle on these guys. Yeah. Sorry, sometimes I just need to check what I'm doing. Now, I can't go across this way. I've actually got to start at this point here. So now this is using eightfold geometry. 8 has a lot of significance. You've got the seal of David that comes across from this. It's known, the 8-pointed star is known as the Hatim. There are 8 angels that carry the throne of God. I'm thinking on the top of my head now, I can't remember what else there is. So 8 was used quite often. And it was obviously connected to the 4 being a multiple of 4 and 4 representing the earthly plane. I'm going to turn this now just to get these guys along the side. So again, I'm really sorry if you're asking me questions or if you join me later. What I will do is look at those at the end. I just want to get on with this because there's quite a lot that I need to finish to show you the whole pattern, and I don't want to be doing this for too long. Just the lower left. I haven't written my blog post yet. Thank you all so much for all your ideas. I think I ended up with about 20 combining my Instagram and my Facebook sort of posts, so that was kind of great. Sort of starting on one. Hopefully try and get it done tomorrow. Oh, I missed one from the other side. 1 second. Last little bit, and I think that will probably be all of the compass requirements done. So I can take my pen out of my compass, just go straight to my ruler. What I want to do is I want to use these corners, sorry, I'm put it back into this. I want to use the corners that I've created here, and I want to draw a straight line through, and then I'm going to be using various points all the way through. Hopefully you can follow what I'm doing. So let's just start by closing it all in. And then I'll pick out, once I've got the grid lines in, I'll pick out the final pattern in like a heavy felt pen so you can see it a little bit more clearly. So there's a couple of things that I'm going to do. The first is actually just pick out the main pattern, and then I'm going to add some details inside. Okay, so the way that I like to do it is I like to try with the oh, we've got to do the lines first. Okay, so how do we do this? You want to make sure you don't confuse the circles, the in-between circles with the outside circles. So we're going to start by going and doing as many diagonals as we can. So where you can see these petal shapes here, we're going to put a line all through them diagonally this way and all through them diagonally that way. Okay, so that's our first point. Again, if you look close up, you'll notice a number of inaccuracies. That is because I'm doing this quickly. and also because I'm human. There is this thing, although my teacher Richard said it's rather arrogant to believe that we can ever produce anything perfect, but there is a thing amongst sort of the Islamic craftsmen and artisans where they would deliberately introduce one flaw to the work. Oh, I've just realised I've missed the corners, so now that I've got the corners, I've got to reset the compass. I need to get the semicircle in there. I probably don't need it, to be honest. Okay, let's see if I can do it without, and we'll come back to it. So they introduce, so the artisan and the craftsman introduce errors deliberately because perfection only belongs to God. Although my teacher, suggested that was rather arrogant to assume that we could even, ever produce anything of a perfect nature. It's just not possible. What I find really interesting is that anything that we make that's, so-called perfect, I feel is always lacking any life. I mean, everyone has their own opinion, but if you do geometry on a computer, for example, and you fill in with computers, the computer programming, all the shapes and what have you, it is perfect, but it has a completely different feel to something that we produce with our hand, which has got some error in it, where you can tell where a line is heavier than another. And it's interesting that the imperfections, supposedly inverted commas, are what bring it to life. Which is why I'm all for technology, and I really enjoy using computers because I think there's things that you can do with computers just in terms of producing a geometry on them and then replicating it, tessellating it to see what possibilities there are. I think there's things that you can do that you just can't do quickly enough, by hand. It would just take forever. So there's a lot of room for play, but it still doesn't beat doing things by hand. Okay, so we're kind of at this stage and there's a lot of lines, but I always say don't get overwhelmed at this stage. What we're going to do is, if you look inside this, I've got now a dynamic square. Now dynamic means it's sitting on its point. The other option is that it's a static square. So if you imagine a square on its side, sat down somewhere, it's not moving, right? So we call that a static one. But the moment it's like this, it's sitting on its point, it's wobbly. So we call it a dynamic square. So right here, we've got a dynamic square. And we want to introduce to it a static square. And the way that it's going to happen is that these diagonal lines that we've just introduced also cut the circle at the 45-degree mark. So before we had the horizontal and the vertical through the centre, but now we've got lines at the 45-degree mark. So 1, 2, 3 and 4 will make a static square. I want a static square in the 9 circles that I'm going to put my my 8-pointed star in. So there are ways to do this that is slightly quicker. What I can do is I can line this circle and this circle up. I don't want... hang on, let me just think about what the pattern is going to be in here. No, I don't want the in-between line. If I do... Sorry, I'm just trying to remember what I do. No, I don't, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put... It's easy sometimes just to highlight it before you do anything, so that way you can't get confused with all of the lines crisscrossing. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to the outside ones, because if I line it all up, the inside ones aren't too much of an issue. So you don't need to put these dots in. I'm just putting them in so I can show... Oh no, that one's wrong. Okay, so that's part of the problem. So I can show you what I'm doing, okay? So what we're going to do is line these up, so the top one and the bottom one are lined up, but I'm staying within the bottom circle, the vertical, inside this circle, vertical, inside this circle, vertical. Okay, so you can see that I've done those. And I'm going to do the same on this side of the same circle. So just stay inside the circle, stay inside the circle, stay inside the circle. Okay, fairly straightforward. And now we're just going to close those boxes. So I know it looks like there's a lot of noise going on. That's geometry really, Islamic geometry specifically. It was about adding layer and layer and layer, and eventually what happens is the circle that you began with gets lost between everything that's become manifest. And it's a metaphor for how we can look at nature, i.e. the creation of God, which came, nature that came from him, that he created. I know people aren't religious and I know people don't believe in God, and that's fine, that's your position. I'm not here to argue that, but I'm just talking about sort of the perspective of this particular craft. So what becomes manifest is what we see, and from that we need to kind of find our way back to God. And it's a metaphor for looking out at nature and looking out at the creation of God to then see him. So in the Quran it repeatedly says there are signs for those who reflect. So this idea of reflection is really, really important in Islam, and is I think the craftsmen of the Islamic community. Right, hang on. What have I done here? Oh, there it is. Sorry, I just couldn't see that. But were focused on bringing this sense of awareness, this sense of consciousness of God into every facet of the Muslim's life. So if you go to the Muslim world, geometric forms are everywhere. They're prevalent in everything, inside the home, outside the home, especially in the outside space, from mosques to the facades of just average buildings to the gardens. So where are we now? Sorry, I'm mumbling. I don't know if this is kind of interest to anyone, but it's what kind of draws me in. So almost there. And I suppose part of me showing you this sort of rough mock-up is for you to realise that, just have a go. Don't be scared. It doesn't matter if it goes wrong. Practice the moves first time. Next time, do it neater. Third time, do it again. The more you do it, the better you'll get. It is about repetition. Now, I'm talking all over this, but first time I did geometry and I went home and I repeated the pattern, it became a meditation, and that is really part of this process. You kind of get lost into it, and as you start seeing this, it's like learning a language and suddenly understanding words randomly, when someone says something. So it's allow yourself the space to breathe when you're doing this. Allow yourself the space to be calm. As you allow that to enter you, you'll find that your patterns will start to work and come out themselves. Okay, so I want to go in and do extra detail in all of these, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you one level of the completed picture now. So I'm introducing a new ruler just to show you. So what I have with this one, I need some super glue. Oh no, oh Lord. Okay, it's fine. So this, what I've done is underneath I've taped 2 p coins. Lisa, I know she's got a really nice one that's got like cork board underneath. Oh no, my poor ruler. So the cork board lifts it just above. And what that means is when I run my felt tip pen, or if I've got paint in my my ruling pen, as I draw it against here, it's not going to stick to this, or it's not going to smudge against it. Especially with paint, it will smudge it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw out the star here, and then around each of them, and you'll see that the crosses in between just manifest themselves. So the bits that we highlight, I tend to do all the lines vertically, so I'll probably go all the way across, and then go, sorry, that was horizontal, all the horizontal lines first, all the vertical lines second, and then I'll go for the diagonals. Meaning I'll do one set of lines all the way through. It doesn't matter which one you start with. It's just good to be consistent. It trains you, really, for the rest of it. So, for example, if I was doing this, I'd start there, I'd see that it kind of connects through here. So the lines go through like that. Sorry, I'm just looking for the lines again. Okay, so I'm hoping you can see the stars start to form. I'm focusing on the central line for you guys, the central one for you guys, but I'm just going to carry this through so that it's just easier to finish off in a minute when I do the rest of the pattern. And I've got this one. And I'll talk to you about why it's called the Breath of the Compassionate. So you can see the star there, and we're going to add stars here, 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 and here, and then I'll show you more, so bear with me. I probably should start at the top and work towards myself. The horizontal ones, because the square is within the circle, don't carry through the pattern the way that the diagonal ones do. I should have had some like atmospheric music in the background. You could at least enjoy that instead of me rambling on. Sorry. Although most people don't like my music, I have to subject my fellow students to 2 years of nonsense. You wouldn't know doing this, I actually quite enjoy listening to some heavy rock. But I do. Not metal, but you know, I like a good guitar and drum combo. Having said that, if you guys have got some good geometry, sort of zoning music, share some tips with me. Culture me up. Philistine that I am. Well, I have started listening to Turkish music a lot. I've been watching this program called Ertuğrul, which is a Turkish period drama, if you like. And I'm slightly obsessed about it. But they have really nice music. Sort of oud and other sort of Eastern string instruments. It's really nice, really relaxing actually. The music, I should say, not the program. The program is like really suspenseful. It's really nice to have a program where it just is coming from a completely different perspective to the Western programs you're used to. Right, again, I ramble, I should shush. So this star is sometimes called the Seal of Solomon. Seal of Solomon? Seal of David? Seal of Solomon, I think. And I didn't actually research it all that much, but I think it's something to do with his ring, which was believed to have power to control the elements. So I did a little bit of research into it to try and understand, but apparently it had 4 stones to it. There's other accounts that it might have had more. I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to explain why the name, sorry. Right, this is where you get lost. So I've done that one, that one, that one, that one. Okay, so we're here. And the last one. And then this way. So as you can see, where the 8-point stars meet, between them, of its own accord, you get manifested the cross shapes. Now, there's a reason they're called, this pattern is called the Breath of the Compassionate, and I'll just explain to you as soon as I've done my last few lines. Okay, so if you look at this square, the dynamic square, what's happened is this shape here, imagine it's been pushed out. So you can see that almost as the in-breath, the expansion, if you like. If I were to fold this inwards, so if I were to go and do that all the way around, what I end up with is this shape here. So this could be like the outward breath, the exhalation, and together it's the in and the out. If you go back to alchemy, it was all about, you know, I mean, we know it as this idea of transforming or transmuting lead into gold. But, you know, there were lots and lots of elements to it. And for example, one, taking lead and turning it into lead paint involved a number of different processes. And those processes were related to the journey of the soul and this movement from darkness to light, back to darkness and light. So there's this constant sort of expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction. And I think really that's connected to a lot of ideas within sort of the Sufi tradition about the soul's journey being this active process, not just, you know, you don't just start, you know, here and then suddenly, you know, in one way only just improve. You know, you kind of go through periods of ups and downs, and that's normal and completely part of the process. But no one likes to move backwards, but actually sometimes that's part of the process and it's necessary. So we have here the Breath of the Compassionate. It's sometimes you see it like this, but a lot of time it actually has a little bit more detail in it. The extra detail, bear with me, I'm going to try and see if I've got different coloured felt tip that I can use. Ooh, yes. So just so I can try and see if I can show you this without kind of going a bit crazy. Okie doke. So the next, I'm going to start with the centre one, and I might just do it in the centre one because I realise this has been going on a while, and I'm sure everybody would like to just go back to dinner or something. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the points that we've got within our star, and we're just going to add a couple of extra lines. So again, whatever I do here, I would then transfer to the others. So all I do is I do 2 horizontal lines, vertical, sorry, 2 horizontals, and then diagonals. So look at the point and look at this point. It's easier to kind of work with that. Again, look at this point and this point. Okay. And what I'm going to do is show you what emerges. So we've got 2. We've got externally this shape.
Me and Daddy are downstairs all by ourselves.
What do you mean you're downstairs all by yourself? Where's your mum?
Mum's gone outside.
Where have they gone?
to collect things.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's fine. Pawpaw's here. Why are you scared?
But you're not downstairs.
But I'm right here.
But can you come downstairs?
Well, right now I'm talking to a number of people online and they're listening to me and they can hear you talking to me and that you're a bit scared. Do you want people to know that you're a bit scared?
Yeah.
They're talking to me on my phone. Well, they're not talking to me. So you get this form and then what actually happens is you need to just finish off by also going further. And I'm doing this one by hand.
Hand to hand.
And adding this 8-pointed star. So this just adds a bit of detail, an extra layer. So I'm just going to colour this in.
Can I colour something?
You can, when I finish, you can colour it in and we'll show everyone what you did, okay? I just have to do this one so I can show people. Is that right?
Okay.
Did you put it?
You know people?
Yeah.
Like Jory.
Oh, okay. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, I'll put that. Right, so you get this and then what you do is you transfer it to all of these outside. And then we can also add a little bit of detail into the stars as well. So we can do that, into the crosses. We can do that just very simply by adding a cross into each of them. So you get these sort of diamond shapes coming in.
Papa, somebody could steal Hardy.
Nobody's going to steal Hardy. It's okay. You're not going to open the door. You can't even open the door.
I don't know how to open the door.
I know you know. I know. Right. And then this, you can actually also add here and go into the corners. So I hope that's been useful for everybody. If you do this, what I want you to do is I want you to upload it and tag me, please. And that would be really useful. So I'm just going to turn this around. So I can read any messages that anyone's read and I'll try and respond to. Oh my god.
Oh.
Right, okay, so are there a billion gazillion? There you go, your mum's just come, I've heard the door. How many messages do I have? Just hi people, hello. Living in Jerusalem, we have so many old buildings with geometric patterns on it, especially in Al-Aqsa. I've copied so many patterns from there. Oh, you're really, really lucky. Do share. Shazia, yes. Jia, Hatem Suleiman, it is, sorry. Thank you very much. Okay, I don't have any questions, so that's all good. I hope you enjoyed it. Do produce them, replicate them, get your own sort of finish onto that, and let me know how you get on. Cool. Thanks, guys. Bye.